Just let us know when you're going.
We are recording.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
So if I can edit this, I will. Basically, Robbie, if you just want to start us off and we'll go into it.
Oh shoot, my bad.
No, you're good.
All right.
Just pause for a couple seconds and I can edit this out.
Okay. Alrighty. This is our global strategy design for Brazil. It's me, Adam, Tim, and Hector. We chose Brazil because we thought it's a prominent country in South America that's thriving, so it'd be a good market to tap into. All right. So for the generic strategy, the most effective strategy would be focus differentiation. Mostly because it tailors our products to be more competitive through addressing specific needs, and it provides unique value, which is something needed in a market like Brazil, because there's so many varying regions. So targeting a specific niche in any given area gives a huge advantage. Also, urban centers specifically, they have a high demand for premium goods. So doing things like being eco-friendly and practicing sustainable practices can build brand loyalty. And also middle class and the youth provide fertile ground for differentiated offerings like fintech, e-commerce, and health tech. And as for the implementation, transnational strategy would be the most effective to break in. It allows for flexibility to adapt to a diverse market. It's great because it enables us to meet local preferences and constraints while maintaining quality and innovation in our brands. And a huge thing is centralizing some of our functions like manufacturing design, because it makes it a lot easier to adapt and be responsive, while also being cost effective. And as for the specialized strategy, it'd be great to implement value-based innovation and local market adaptation. So a lot of this is centered around being local to the communities. Value-based is great for a competitive advantage, for providing high-value products at an affordable price. Local market adaptation brings familiarity to the consumer, so like making things in Portuguese and stuff like that. And being price sensitive is huge for a wide variety of consumers. That's why installment plans could be good for products. And, one huge thing is partnering with local business and distributors to help with rural and underserved regions as well, providing accessibility. In the research and development, it'd be a good idea to provide more of a hybrid R&D structure to maximize responsiveness and innovation, because Brazil is so unique in its regions that it demands localized innovation. So having regional centers would help with more intensive research. And the global centers would serve more of the core responsibilities, the more large scale issues, and the company can also work closely with universities and government institutions to stay aligned with national interests, and it would also allow the company to tap into local talent pools.
Gotcha. So for disruptive technology, essentially Brazil is rapidly adopting disruptive technologies to modernize its economy. So in agriculture, AI, and then the Internet of Things are driving precision farming, making Brazil a leader in ag technology. The government national AI strategy is backed by a $4 billion investment, which reinforces its commitment to digital transformation. Meanwhile, key sectors like cybersecurity and semiconductors are scaling fast, which is a huge plus for them. And then they are also starting to move towards renewable energy. So through things like wind and solar and biomass initiatives. Um, really the bioeconomy is emerging from the Amazon. So it really highlights that shift towards sustainability. So for international businesses, this is important because this creates like a fertile ground for investment, innovation, and strategic partnerships. When looking at those processes, so Brazil's innovation model is built on strong public-private collaboration. So over half of R&D funding comes from the government, with the rest supported by the private sector. Each state also contributes um, independent innovation funds. So basically, the nation is trying to tailor strategies to high impact sectors such as AI and cybersecurity, which fosters innovation through open cross sector collaboration. And then for international managers, essentially this means opportunities for joint ventures, pilot programs, co-created with local research institutions and startups to ensure market fit, also with long-term success. And then for principles, essentially innovation in Brazil must be rooted in principles that reflect the culture and socioeconomic landscape. So a human-centric approach resonates with the country's strong family and community values. Sustainability is critical, especially with initiatives like Amazon bioeconomy. Brazil's very youthful. They're digital, they're tech savvy. Efforts must focus on like upskilling underserved populations, excuse me, and fostering bottom-up innovation. So principles, as such, a strong ethical and practical framework for international firms is crucial. And then for marketing, basically marketing in Brazil needs to be local and resonant. Obviously, as previously mentioned, it needs to be digitally tech savvy. So with approximately 87.5% of the population living in cities, a large portion under 24, mobile first marketing and social media engagement are essential. So, however, cultural context does matter. So religious values, strong family ties heavily influence consumer behavior. Pricing must also reflect income disparities, making affordability and value for money a key vital part. Successful strategies all often include influencer marketing and storytelling, so that essentially aligns with the Brazilian identity, if you will, humor and lifestyle.
If we talk about the industry analysis, we just scan the environment. Sorry, I need to close my door. Sorry, too many noise. We also analyzed the industrial potential of the country and scan how is exactly the economic environment on it. We found that Brazil, for starting, is a diversified economy with important activities in agriculture, mining, industry, and services. Among the most important things to highlight of this is the production of soybean. Brazil is probably the biggest producer, or at least one of them. In this, it is also an important producer of iron and also steel. Another thing to highlight is the automobile technologies, production, aeronautics as well. And beside traditional sectors like tourism, Brazil in the past few years have highly bet for telecommunications and aeronautics, which indicates a well-connected country and easy access to technology. These add to the country being very rich on natural resources, having a geostrategic position, basically being most of the east coast of South America. Well, it's easy to fly from there to Africa and Europe. It is also the regional power of the region. It's the most populated and the highest economy in South America. It is also one of the biggest markets in the world with more than 200 million people, and it also have one of the bigger workforce. And its population is relatively young. The the average age is around the 30s, and it is not a high income country, which means that the wages are relatively low. It's a competitive advantage until some point. It is also as I mentioned, it is more than 200 million people, and it's also this actually is one issue because in the Doing Business Index, Brazil is actually a little low score. It ranks 124. It's not impossible to do business over there, but it's a little more complicated than some other countries. I also wanted to highlight that inside the same Doing Business Index, Brazil scores, it's the rank 138 on starting business and 77 on resolving the insolvency. So taking that in consideration, we cannot forget about its advance on technology and innovation. For this presentation, this is exactly what we took in consideration: the innovation and technology, the potential threats and benefits on how their population and local culture may affect the global expansion project. We think that Brazil is a big and attractive market with a lot of potential, a convenient position in South America, a population with a growing purchase power and well-educated. This is actually something interesting. The average years of education in Brazil is 16 years, which is fairly higher, and it means that many of its population has superior studies. Of course, there are some threats like the huge bureaucracy and the institutional corruption, but the benefits compensate the risk, which, were to mention, the country have made some progress on dealing with those issues, especially with the excessive bureaucracy. They have took many steps to combat it. And well, we think we are prepared to analyze any other potential benefit or threat that may impact the impact of this project.
Saving the best for last, y'all. First of all, I just kind of want to apologize about how I sound right now. I'm a little under the weather. But with that being said, my name's Tim, actually. So great to meet y'all. To address political risks in Brazil, it is important to have legal guidance, build relationships with government, promote transparency, and invest in community-focused CSR. Got some very important points on there. So for decision-making structure, we're using a hybrid decision-making model to ensure strategic alignment globally and operationally flexible locally. This helps balance control and responsiveness. Great stuff there. Control structures are in a place to monitor key performance areas. This slide outlines how we may maintain accountability in financial, operational, compliance, and risk domains. Some very, very good points on that. So let's spend some time on this slide right here, because I think that's some very key points right there. All right, let's go to the next slide. This table provides a high-level overview of Brazil's control structure, including tools used, the frequency of checks, and their primary purpose. There's a ton of different purposes between all the different control areas. And I just really like this graph because it definitely shows you how interesting this is, how all this kind of associates with Brazil, and it moves and works real good. Next. Excuse me. We will evaluate performance using a balanced scorecard approach. Each category is weighted evenly and reviewed quarterly to ensure a holistic view of business health. Next. Another very interesting graph here. They're all the same, but they're all very interesting at the same time. This visual summarizes the 4 categories of the balanced scorecard approach, showing how we distribute focus across financial, customer, internal, process, and learning metrics. This is my personal favorite approach right here. It's just all balanced throughout. They're all focusing on very important things evenly. There's nothing that's more important. There's nothing that's least important. It's all important to them. That's perfect. Good to go. I think that's it. Is there references? Oh, right there.
Yeah,
Got it.
I actually took some time to organize them on alphabetical order.
There we go.
I appreciate that. Let me hold on one second. Did we stop recording? We're still going.
I am recording. Stop recording now.